So something a little bit different. For me personally, I've had so much going on recently, being business, being personal, and I've kind of come up with this idea of just bringing them both together. So hiking has definitely been one of the big parts of this year for me, and it's definitely been one of those mechanisms that has helped me kind of grow to where I'm at the moment with the agency business and personally as well. So it kind of just dawned on us, why not just record the walks and just have a bit of a talk through of what's kind of going on, be that with the company that I run or industry changes, just life in general, I guess. Because these walks are really, really important for me personally. It lets us just kind of digest the day to day, gives us a different frame of mind, and there's just so many learnings when you get out hiking, which, this time last year, going on a hike would be a new version of hell for me personally. So I'm going to touch on where I'm currently walking on this video, but before that, I just want to give a massive shout out to somebody who's definitely brought me on massively, both personally and within business this year, and it has to be the CUI venture John Beamson. So as I mentioned earlier, me going on a hike would have been a running joke if you told me last year, but I massively underestimated just how beneficial it is. And John's been really patient in getting us to where I need to be. And now it's just so ingrained in my life now that it's been such a key player in mental health, physical, and just kind of resilience as well. That's the main part of it. So even though he hasn't paid for sponsorship, this video definitely takes the credit of getting me outside and on this particular walk as well. So as you can kind of see there, a bit of a giveaway. That hill at the top is where we're going today. So that'll be a third of the walk, and then we basically have a little bit of a flat walk into Roseberry topping. So quite a big climb, first one, and then there's another two following that, and then we'll basically have a nice steady walk back to where we started. So this hill here is probably the biggest life lesson I've ever had, and this was, I remember the first time I did it, nearly killed us, red hot heat, and didn't know what to expect. And this video just really won't do it justice of just what that incline's like. But there's two really big lessons that I learned on this hill. The second one comes a little bit further on. So the first is this. When kind of started out in business, everyone typically goes through really bad patches, really uncomfortable. Could be invoices late, cash flows terrible, whatever it might be. I always thought when I land in these situations that the world was over, and I never voluntarily put myself in those situations where it was a real hard slog. And this type of hill here, I mean, you can see by the trees there, that's the first flat ground we've got. And then it kind of goes in. It really doesn't do justice. It's a really strong incline, but it goes on forever. And as you're going up it, all you really care about is just stopping, and then them thoughts are in the back of your head. Have a break, stop, Charlie, you're doing too much, it's too hot, and you just learn to be comfortable in that really kind of uncomfortable situation. And also, as well, you recognise the chatter in your head is exactly that. So I know now when I'm in them situations and you don't feel like you're cut out for the job or it's just beyond your reach, and you've got that little dialogue going in your head, all guns blazing, that you can actually do it. And every time I climb a hill like this, I always get humbled. So I'll train really hard. I'll get into a car park with John, where we're going today, and I think, I'm going to do really well today. Trained really hard, always get humbled, and always that dialogue will start every time. So once you kind of get through it and you've done one, you build that confidence, and then over time, you kind of really build it up. And that's the same what I do in business now. If I get knockbacks or self doubt kicks in, or I know I can deal with it. So that brings us on to the second one, which is you get to the top of this hill and it just keeps on going. You look at this hill and it's absolutely carnage. You get to the top and it just continues and continues, and it never ever feels like it's going to stop. And this is probably the summary of my first year in business when it was exceptionally tough. Is the end, where you think it'll stop never really stops. But the one tool that you always have is to work on your resilience. And in the year one, I would just literally kind of go into shutdown mode, and I've I was in a really fortunate situation where I had too much work on and a constant stream of leads, but I was just completely burning out every stage I got where I'd finish a project, think, right, I'm on top of everything, then bang, something else would come along as well. And just by working on that resilience with this, where you don't really know where the end is, you just got to keep going. So we've turned the corner there, I think the hill's done, and then bang, straight into another one. And it just stays like this constantly. And there's a real strong transient between how you feel on these walks and how you feel at work. And that just never ending cycle of torture happens within business. You have high highs and low lows, as you do on this walk as well. But when you put yourself in the situations like this, me personally, I recognise the symptoms. So when I'm starting to burn out and things starting to get overwhelming, I've got like a repository of things that I'll deploy. I know that the internal force is just exactly that, and I can still proceed through it. But also, as well, when you make it to the top, the self belief you get is just absolutely astronomical. And to think to where I was in January, where I would work really hard to a point where I got really hard, and then I wouldn't say shut down, but I wouldn't be far off shutting down. And whereas now, it could be a case that you just got to adapt. Like John calls it admin, I guess, for stuff like this, essentially, where you plan stuff out in advance, and you're kind of really sensible about like footwear and changing socks and all that type of stuff, and suitable water, hydration, food, all that type of good stuff. In business, I didn't do that at all, and it's just something that I've really kind of carried over. Is I know what to expect. I've been through it before, and it's just the transients and similarities between what you feel on this versus in the day to day is just completely different. So this still goes up and up and up. I'll try and nudge on a bit. I'll try and run a bit there as well. I thought I saw this, I'm just going to go for it. And sometimes you've got to dig really deep and go for it. And the thing is with this is all relative to where you are as well. Like people could probably run this full distance in a third of my time. And this thing took about 2.5 hours for this, and it was a good 10k. But kind of relative to where you are, it's just progress, really, really strong progress. So again, still climbing, still quite a strong incline there as well. But we're not too far from the top. And the first time you do this, it completely messes with your head because you can't see around that bend and you think it's going to be another hill. You just don't know what to expect. But starting to come out of it now, starting to level off, and flat ground. Here we are at the top. So in case you haven't worked it out, where I'm at the moment, it's Great Ayton, and you go up this hill, as you can see, it's made to the top, and you should see Captain Cook's monument in the distance, or many of the gates to that as well. So at the top, coming towards the first peak, I guess, of Captain Cook's monument, and this is kind of where it really does come into its own around views as well. So we got some quite good elevation there, and also flat ground at the bottom. Lovely day for views, and I don't think we can see it just yet, but I get a glimpse of Roseberry topping from the other side. So yeah, this is the high highs. Obviously, you've got endorphins kicking in now, which is just brilliant. You feel great. I know that there's 2 more climbs coming. So progress on that path straight to the gate. I'm just going to speed this up a bit when we get a bit closer to Captain Cook's monument. So you can see that as you're driving down with the A19. Quite a big landmark, and doesn't look pretty big there, but when you get up and close, it's huge. And also the views here as well are absolutely beautiful. Really hard to portray that on the video, but I had a super nice day for it as well. A little bit windy, but lovely and warm, and no rain. So yeah, absolutely huge. The plan is to effectively swing a left, and then we've got another climb, but before that we've got a nice gravel track to walk down on. So yeah, absolutely humongous size, and the views absolutely on point as well. this is the other side of Captain Cook. So you can see there in the background that little sharp hill, I guess, is Rosary Topping. So that's what we're heading to next. So with this, we've got quite a nice walk down. Then we've got quite a beast of a climb coming up a bit further down. So let's continue down this path all the way. Really nice walk, and then when you get on the other side, the views are one of the best of the day anyway. So another key thing that I've always noticed when it comes to these hikes is I'll be walking through one today, for example, and let's just say I did this until I was 45, and there'd be a little bit of, I guess, disgruntlement with the time. But same with business as well, exactly the same. That time is night and day to when I first started doing this in January. And I've really started to appreciate, especially on walks like this, of just taking, could be an hour or just some dedicated time, whatever it is, to really reflect on kind of how far I've come. And there is loads more bigger agencies out there, there's faster growing ones with better clients, better clients, or whatever it may be. I guess there's always someone to compare against, and I'm really happy with how the agency's gone. We've gone from one, two staff to 17, 18, hopefully 20 by the end of the year. Really good clients, really good trajectory, and I can be upset with something very minute in the business, and I'll completely forget. Obviously, I don't want to dwell in the past, but just when you've got views like this and just time to reflect, I found these really good of just kind of changing the frame of mind because you don't have the typical admin of the day-to-day work holding you back. So approaching the gate now, this is kind of towards the start of the second climb, and this one's a bit of a clat on. You're a bit tired off the first one, but it is quite a steep climb, but it's not as long as this one as well. So maybe down the road, basically cross over, and then we're going to start and make our way up that second side of it. Just So here it is. This is the main one, and this throws your stride off because the steps are just so wide that you can't really get like a consistent stride when you go up them as well. It's also as well to fully headspace again, or with a mind, I guess. But I know there's a big climb coming on the end of this, and I know that I've just come from a big climb as well. So it's that funny headspace of now's your head starting to go either way, where I'm tired, and all the self doubt kicks in. I don't know if I can do the last one. Should we just call it a day early? And then the flip side as well, the positive spin is I've just done a big climb, but again, I don't use that as an excuse not to do the rest of the walk. So it's really weird just observing your body when you're in situations like this, especially when it's so far out of your comfort zone, genuinely outside your comfort zone. Because I don't want to put the audio on this because it's just me gasping for air basically most of the time, especially on the climbs. But it's really the mental chatter that I'm really dealing with here. So I know there's really nice views coming, so just kind of go for it. And then you get a little bit of a respite here, but it's just relentless stairs. I say they're positioned in a way that you can't really get your pace or a bit of a rhythm. You've got to either double step them or some of them are really steep and some of them really shallow as well. But I haven't got far to go on this one, but it's just that one that you just got to get done and crack on with it. And it's really rewarding once you get to the top because it's a nice steady walk, not much incline, and the views are definitely the best part of the day, or second best part of the day till we get on Roseberry. So made it to the top, and this is when it starts to level off. So got over the top part of it, and then it's just a small gradual walk over to Roseberry topping. These views, seriously, couldn't capture them on video. It's just miles and miles of that on that side, and then on the other side is a bit further along. You should see Roseberry topping, but it's just so relaxing walk along here. It's a nice path, very few people, and with that sun behind you, there's some like jets and that kicking off in the background as I was walking along. This is absolutely beautiful. Um, this does so much for your mental health that I can't oversell it enough. but obviously build up to it. There's no way at all I couldn't do this on day one. I wouldn't even done the first climb. But the Roseberry topping, like you're seeing at base, took me an hour, over an hour on the first time I did it. And I think the PB so far is about 18 minutes, so it's really quick how your body adapts to it as well. But there you go, there's Roseberry topping over there where we're heading to is the final part, and then we'll basically walk back via a different route. So just coming to the gate there now where you head round and start Roseberry topping. So this is a pretty big climb, but there's also something I learned on this climb which I'll touch on in a bit. But once you go down that path, you basically go down and you go up that side, and the views from the top are definitely worth sitting around for. Really, really good, especially on a day like this where you can basically see one side, then land. It's a really, really beautiful place, especially on a day like today. So when you're walking down, just about midway through past Roseberry, nice little place that you just stop, good little view. But one thing is when you look up and over, you should see Captain Cook's monument in the distance there. So that's where our first hill, and that's where we started earlier on today. So one thing about Roseberry is people will do this just as its own separate thing because the views are that nice kind of big steep incline. And you know, it's a hyper busy trail. It's just had some work done to it. Nice path there now. But one thing is, right, when you're going through here, and again, this ties in very well with business, but I'm walking up here, done 2 climbs, quite a distance, absolutely kind of haggard. There's people overtaking us, and to them, they don't know what I've done previously. They don't know about the other 2 climbs or the distance, all that type of stuff, and they're overtaking us, probably thinking that I'm terrible. And you know, in reality, people don't care. I've just come from 2 climbs, and it's a really hard kind of lesson to learn is when you have a bad call with a client, for example, and you've got a call straight on the back of it, the client you're speaking to next doesn't care about the one you've just had, and it's all about kind of what you can do in the moment. So it's a huge lesson for me, that. And it's something that, you know, I've had a terrible day, I've got a big day the next day, maybe pitches, I'm just not myself. People I speak to don't care, staff don't care, prospects don't. And, you know, I'm quite haggard by this point, really tired, sore legs. And people going up it who are overtaking us aren't bothered either. And, you know, it's just the ability to perform ultimately. And that's something that I've learned. I've always understood it, but I've never really learned firsthand outside the comfort zone when you're really slogging up this hill, and it is a steep hill, when you've been on 2 before that and quite a bit of distance. So just walking down there now, the views are beautiful around here. You've got a kind of 360 view at the top, and just about to come down level ground then and go up the Roseberry climb. So this is where it starts to climb here as well, and I'm always really conscious of what I've just said with other people as well. So I'm naturally less judgmental as a person now because, again, you don't know, even on the hills, but just in life in general. But if someone's flagging up here, they've overtaken them. I don't presume that I'm better than them. And, I always have that competitive attitude when I'm trying to beat people. I think everyone does it. But I'm always conscious of kind of like where they're at that moment. They could have done, this could be their third lap, basically. So this is a really, really challenging climb, this. And this is the first time ever doing a hike. Not this particular one, but the first time I did Roseberry, I've just been unwell, like generally just been sick. It's absolutely horrendous because it's quite a short climb, but it's relentlessly steep. And like every step, if you overstretch, you feel it, and it's just this constant kind of rigmarole up there. And there's also, as well, going back to that first hill, there's something very similar with this one, which I'll touch on a bit once I speed this up a bit. So this is basically exactly what happened on the first hill. So you've got up here the peak at the top of it, so it looks like you're pretty much finished. As soon as you get over the brow of this hill, you'll start to see it there now. There's another one, and this is where you're really, really struggling. So from here to that top of that hill is the most growth you'll ever do, I personally think, when you're hiking. Because to get to the top of there, everything's going around your head, stop, heat, wind. You're obviously not going to die, but it feels like you're going to. And you're really going to dig deep, and you really do. Nothing else is going through your head but just trying to make it up the top of this hill. And it keeps going on as well, so that's the first mind game there. You've gone over the brow of that hill. You're about to approach the second one, and as soon as you get here again, it just services it another one. So you can see just at the very top here, you'll see the monument at the top, just service it through there. Terrible trying to record this as well as you walk in, but there's the white monument at the top, and it's still a climb. It's not too bad this as well, but yeah, it's just resilience, keep going. I think as well they had the barriers there as well, so when they're starting to do the work. But I mean, I'm hanging out with backside here trying to record, but so apologies for the bad one, but the views are really nice. A bit windy, but dead worth it. So we're at the top, touch the monument, and then down we go, come down the backside of it, and then we'll start to make the way back to Great Ayton. It's about 7k, but 3 big climbs there, and going back to the car from here, there's no more climbs, it's all relatively flat, so it's a nice little walk back. But multiple ways to get to the top of Roseberry. I'll get Roseberry as my next video, just doing Roseberry via a different route, but there's 2 or 3 different ways you can get up there, varying level of toughness, but it's all kind of similar paths to this you can see around here. So it's a dead nice walk, especially on days like today. Just about to essentially wrap this video up. So these are the best times now where you can really enjoy it, and it's just greenery everywhere, really great views, your endorphins are all over the place, dopamine, all that type of stuff on the back of quite a challenging walk. And then you can see there's basically a straight line back to Great Ayton. Really, really nice walk overall. And it's just a nice time to reflect. You've done a really good thing at getting around that. And you've got a stretch walk here, a little bit of a forest bit, and then you're essentially back where you started, and that's a full loop. So all in all, you've done about 10k, but 3 big climbs, the Capitol Monument at the distance there, and then just loop back to the car, and usually feel great. Nice cafes in Great Ayton as well if you want to date inside and stuff like that. But yeah, that was the first video. Hopefully, I'll get one of these done every couple of weeks or so, not as long as this one.